Hello, hello. So, welcome to day 1 of the Blood Pressure Matters 3-day healing experience. I'll just wait for people to hop on here. So excited to get into today's content and to share with you some strategies, some tips to help you lower blood pressure naturally. So just gonna wait like a minute or two for more people to hop on. Please say hello. Let me know if you can hear me. It's really important for me to know if you are hearing me well. Say hello, where you're tuning in from. Would love to hear that. I'm in Los Angeles, California. Just got over a cold, so I'm glad I'm good today. So yeah, hi Carol, great to have you. Finally have you here live. So happy to be hosting you and everyone else. And you're from Phoenix. Okay, great. So we have similar weather for sure. I know that. We travel to Arizona often. We have family there. Hi, Bon Joves, right? Hope I pronounced that right. Glad to have you too. Yeah, and Suresh, hi. Okay, great, Suresh. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So happy to be hosting you as well. So I'll be drinking water throughout this live. I hope you don't mind. Hi, Odessa. So glad. Thank you for letting me know you can hear me from Carson City, Nevada. Oh my gosh, snowy morning today. Wow. Wow, okay. So yeah, it's been quite cold on the West Coast here. Colder than usual. All right, Alberta, Canada. So people from, Canada too. Great to have you. So happy. Well, thank you for signing up for my Blood Pressure Matters 3-day healing experience. I hope you'll gain some knowledge, some tools, some tips on, starting your journey to lowering blood pressure the natural way. So if we've not met before, my name is Serene Asha. I am an integrative nutrition health coach with a background in psychology and social behavior. And my own journey, okay, from Sweden. Yeah, awesome. That's so cool. My own journey to healing my blood pressure, high blood pressure of like 15 years almost, was a whole journey for me. And how when I finally made the decision, as I'll talk about in a little bit and get into, is what caused me to create this group, become a health coach, more focused on health coaching than like the psychology. And so, so thank you for being here. So I've had the pleasure of helping hundreds of women reach their health goals by, losing weight, lowering blood pressure, losing inflammation, which is a top focus of mine because it is the underlying cause of so many chronic conditions these days, which, almost everybody I would say has some type of low grade inflammation in their body. And so I've helped many of these women and men as well, reverse these conditions. And so as someone who's been diagnosed with high blood pressure and experienced it for almost 15 years, I know what it's like to be told, take your prescribed medication, eat less meat, more vegetables, exercise and lose weight. So I've had all those recommendations throughout the years. And most of us, already know these things. But the thing I get most asked is, how do I actually do this? Like, okay, we're told that we need to lose weight, or maybe someone else needs to not stress as much, not about, the little things in life. But even more so, most people think that there's some magic thing or some supplement or some new device that will help to, lower blood pressure. Although, all these things do help, but it's not a one magic bullet. We're always looking on the outside when it comes to healing our bodies on the inside. And all while the answers are actually within us, okay? Because we do know. So what is it that is stopping us? It's all under our control, and starting with the basics to build a foundation for health in any aspect, and here focusing more on blood pressure is what will create change. So we need to focus on these basics, which I will get into. So in this workshop, I'm going to teach you the tools that you can use anywhere, anytime, and at any stage in your life, whether you're a busy mom, working and with busy family schedules as well, or if you are an empty nester and you're battling menopause, or if you're just like someone who is just like working and stressed out and don't have the time to focus on your health, this is the right place for you. So what you learn will help you to lower blood pressure, in most cases, because the driver of high blood pressure in most people, almost 50% of people have high blood pressure or are on high blood pressure medication. And then I think it's like, I'm trying to remember the number, but it's like 34 or 40% of those people on medication don't have their blood pressure under control. So high blood pressure, as you'll see, is a disease of inflammation. And so we need to get rid of that inflammation. Welcome, Michelle. I see you. So we're getting into things. So, you want to get rid of this inflammation and then, get rid of brain fog and have a renewed feeling of vitality. Without starving yourself, without counting calories and weighing your food, and without fully giving up, keyword, without fully giving up your favorite foods, all while eating in an abundant, anti-inflammatory way that heals the body inside out. So in today's live, you will learn 2 simple things to help you start your journey to lowering blood pressure naturally. Both of these kickstarted my mindset and actions to lowering blood pressure in just 2 weeks. I say 2 weeks, I'll get into my story, because I just, a few things happened in my life and eventually I realized I need to take action now. And I just, started strong when I made the decision that I'm going to commit to my health. And so when I made that decision, I started out really strong, but I didn't look at it as like, oh, okay, I'm gonna, like do this and then, then bounce back to the way I was eating after a couple months. I had the mindset of like, okay, this is gonna kickstart my blood pressure to go down. And then after that, I will, manage and figure out a balanced way of eating that, I'm super happy with. You'll see what I'm talking about. And I kept a food journal also as data, just data of what my triggers were. So after years of suffering and living with the fear of having high blood pressure and having feelings of frustration every time I went to the doctor's office, in those earlier years, feeling like I had no control over the situation and that I would be on blood pressure medication for the rest of my life, just like my father, my grandfather, my uncles, and my aunts, and even my mother as well as she got older. So I found a way to start my healing process. That's when I decided to take matters into my own hands and commit. Keyword is commit. You make a commitment to yourself that you are going to do everything you can to better your health. And so how do you commit? So when they say that high blood pressure is the silent killer, the silent part was 100% true for me. You see, I didn't have any symptoms for years. And I recall looking back before I was diagnosed, doctors saying to me, oh, well, you better start watching it, Serene. Your blood pressure numbers are starting to get a little too high. That's when I was like in my late 20s. And looking back, I laugh because what help does it do telling me watching it? Watch it. What help is that going to do? So I never took it seriously. I was pretty fit, I would say. I worked out a lot. I was a busy mama. I have 4 children. And life was stressful between balancing work, life, and everything. And I actually felt pretty good. So I didn't have any symptoms. So back then I just kind of shrugged it off. But as I got older, those numbers kept going up. And I was eventually put on multiple medications. That went on for about 50, well, in the beginning I would take my medications on and off. And then, after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to start taking these. So I took them for about 10 years. And during those years of my life, life was not easy. In 2012, just so you have a little bit background of, where I'm coming from, my husband and I lost everything, and we moved back to my home country of the United States of America. I was born and raised here with Syrian background. My parents are Syrian. And we lived over there for 16 years, and we had to start all over, with our 4 children, moving back here in 2012 after experiencing our first, bomb explosion in the city we were living in due to the civil war that broke out. So as we reestablished our lives, you can only imagine the stress we were under, only causing my blood pressure to skyrocket. Stress became a part of my life. And I became unmotivated, and I just let go of my health even more. And so I already had the tendency to have high blood pressure, but this stressor, I just gave up and gave into, I gained weight, I stopped exercising, I was just focusing on getting through the days. Sorry about the noise. Just getting through the days with my kids, and just let my health, go down the drain, eating comfort food all the time, going to fast food drive-throughs all the time for convenience. And I just felt hopeless for years. So it wasn't until a few years later that my father had congestive heart failure that I woke up and I realized I didn't want that happening to me. When I started to check my blood pressure consistently after that incident, it was always running between 158 to 180 on the systolic and 98 to 110 on the diastolic, the bottom number. And I was on two medications. One of them was really heavy, which is, these numbers are categorized as a crisis for 180 or above by the American Heart Association. So I didn't know back then exactly how congestive heart failure worked and was connected to high blood pressure, but I did know that high blood pressure was a risk factor for heart problems. So that's when I took a deep dive into heart health, especially on the topic of reversing high blood pressure. I read through medical journals and websites, watched documentaries, listened to TED Talks. I listened to podcasts just to gather as much information as possible. That's when I decided to get certified in health coaching, and honestly, just to learn how to be healthy for myself, to use it for myself. And, after going on that journey, starting that journey, it literally took me like 1 month to get off one of my blood pressure medications, and a month later off the second medication. And so, which was that was high dose. So I had to be weaned off slowly along with the okay of my doctor, but I had made that commitment. I was so amazed with my results that I had to share this information with as many people as possible. And that's when I created the Lowering Blood Pressure the Natural Way Facebook group, where I want to just share everything, where I have a library under the events section of the group, a library of different topics that help lower blood pressure. And so even people, after I lost so much inflammation, people were like, Serene, your face looks so, so clear. You're glowing. You look so good. What are you doing? Your skin looks so good. And my blood pressure had gone down, but it's funny, there were so many other things that I benefited from health-wise as well. So moving along, what are the 2 things that kickstarted my success in lowering to blood pressure naturally, which I share all the time with my clients, people in the Facebook group. And it's so simple. It's crazy how simple it is. And getting me out of just drifting along through life. So the first one was when I gained an understanding. By the way, I will answer questions at the end of the live. So go ahead and ask any questions you want. So the first thing was understanding what and how I needed to eat as a result of my new gained science-backed knowledge from, attending seminars, from the health coaching courses to so many different things that I mentioned, the research papers, reading all through those. So I had a new gained understanding of how high blood pressure developed in the first place. And number two is so simple. I know everybody's different, but I know that I let go of my exercise for like 10 years, but then I kept it very simple. And the second thing I did was I started walking. So those are the first two things that I focus on when working with people, is just making sure they have a good understanding of the science and making sure they're getting in that, daily exercise. And all I did was just walk 20 to 50 minutes per day. And it's amazing what it did to change my physical health as well as my mental health. And you'll see in day 3 how mental health is really physiologically connected to blood pressure and managing blood pressure. So give me a like if you walk already or you consistently walk and you know that feeling that I'm talking about of just that feeling of just, mentally and physically feeling great. And if you're not walking now, that's fine too. Tomorrow's always a new day. Today's always a new day. And so, like I said earlier, I was a fit mama in the beginning. I didn't worry about, having high blood pressure. But that didn't really mean that I was like eating healthy. I just ate whatever and whenever I wanted and figured that, okay, I worked out a lot, so it's okay. Well, as you'll see, I was damaging my blood vessel walls with my way of eating over the years. It doesn't, when you're eating in an unhealthy way or a damaging way to your cells, it's not going to show up immediately. It takes time, over even like years and decades, for it to show up and you have symptoms like high blood pressure, like inflammation, or other types of chronic diseases. So, I just ate whatever I wanted, and I didn't know I was causing more damage to my blood vessel walls. So there isn't, like I said, one magic bullet that's going to lower your blood pressure. Those are all, gimmicks and kind of lies. It's the unique lifestyle that you create for yourself, where you feel empowered through the food you eat, along with getting rid of unhealthy lifestyle habits and adding and replacing them with healthy habits. Okay, so you're replacing. So if there was one magic pill or supplement, we would have already known about it. Like everybody would be using it if there was one magic, bullet. There's so many conflicting claims out there about what supplements work, what diet is best, and so on and so forth. But the reality is, deep down inside that you need to give yourself a chance by doing what you already know pretty much, and what you're going to learn as well. So today I'm here to let you know that you don't have to worry anymore. Worry about some catastrophic event happening. Worry about the feeling of feeling overwhelmed with what to do to lower your blood pressure. You can ditch all these feelings with knowing you are and can be in control of your own health. So you are in the right place right now. You're probably here because of one of the following scenarios. You were recently diagnosed or have a loved one that was diagnosed with high blood pressure and are kind of panicking and going to Dr. Google to find out as much as you can about lowering your blood pressure. And I know that feeling. It's stressful. And thinking, what do I do? What do I do? Maybe you're just starting out taking medication, or maybe your doctor told you you have 1 month to try to lower it naturally, and then we'll put you on, prescription medication. So you want to try to lower it naturally, right? So, or maybe you just want to prevent ever getting high blood pressure and you want to learn a healthier lifestyle. Or number 3, you have had high blood pressure for many years, like I did, and are thinking, okay, I really need to do something about this because my numbers are creeping up and I'm being told I need more medication. So maybe you are one of these 3 people and you know that you need to maybe eat better. Deep down inside, you need to exercise more. Maybe some of you know that you shouldn't be going through the drive-thru and picking up those burger and fries and soda, or eating out at restaurants when you're in the beginning trying to lower your blood pressure. There's so many preservatives and like flavors and sodium that they put in just for you to have a mouth-watering experience and have you come back for more. Even the so-claimed healthy restaurants, when I go there, you know, to some type of like plant-based restaurant, healthy restaurant, whatever, the food is whole foods, but then when you take that bite, it's just packed with sodium, and you can taste the salt in the food, especially when you're coming from being used to not eating salt. It's like, whoa, this is too much. But yeah, so you really need to be aware of these things and plan ahead of time. So you need to be proactive in this sense for your own health. And I'm going to go a little bit off tangent, but you're going to be going against the grain. All of society, you know, eating out, all the commercials, all the billboard signs, you know, are advertising and telling you, oh, come eat this delicious food, and then you crave it, and then you go eat it, and then it's like a vicious cycle. So you're really gonna have to kind of go against the grain in the beginning until you get used to this new healthy lifestyle. But I'm telling you, it's so worth it. Like the feeling of vitality and just, you know, loss of inflammation and better numbers is just so worth it. So, you know, you'll be trained to, you know, let go and not have that, you know, last ice cream if you shouldn't have it. I'm not saying never have it, but anyways, I'm going to go on. I went off tangent. Okay. I went on a tangent. Everyone knows the basic concepts for being healthy. So why is this happening to most of us, which I just kind of talked about? Why can't we just start eating right and doing the things to heal our bodies? I'd like to say it's not your fault. That's what I was trying to tell you. So don't be hard on yourself. We live in a world where there's a fast food restaurant at every corner. And I just talked about this, so I'm going to skip this, that even the good restaurants are packed with, you know, high sodium. So here's the question to ask yourself right now. Would you rather do what everyone else is doing and live how the majority of people are living and just be a statistic? Because as you probably already know, almost 50% of people, you know, like I said, have high blood pressure. And because when you look at the statistics, cardiovascular disease and heart disease remain the #1 cause of premature death. And high blood pressure is one of the top risk factors for heart disease, along with high unhealthy cholesterol levels and diabetes to follow. So when it comes to your health, why follow the herd and become a statistic? That's the point I'm trying to get across. You need to, you know, change your mindset, because once you change your mindset, the actions follow themselves, okay? That's what you know, that's how I work with my clients, is because once you have the knowledge inside, then everything on the outside just falls together so much easier. So our healthcare system rewards doctors for prescribing medications and is set up with limiting, you know, doctors with their patients to like 15 minutes tops, you know? So they're in there, they want to like get things done, and you know, writing a prescription is just the easiest way than sitting down and having like a half-hour conversation with you about what foods you should be eating and shouldn't be eating and going into detail. And you know, that's why health coaches are on the rise, especially here in Los Angeles. You know, they're on the rise here because doctors do not have time to do this. So just by being aware of the reality we live in will give you the motivation you need to make sustainable health changes. So, are you ready to learn about the science behind why high blood pressure develops in the first place? Because that's what I'm gonna get into now. And it's probably my most favorite topic when talking about high blood pressure, because I just kind of visualize this all the time when I'm making food choices. All right. Sorry. So in my courses, I get really nerdy. I take a deeper dive and I talk about the science a lot more of why and how things work in the body. It just fascinates me. And I know there's people who want to know more about that. And then I know there's people who are like, I don't care, just tell me what to do. So, you know, either or, you're in the right place. So once you understand what is happening in the body, that's when you have the knowledge that you can use to change the future of your health to one that's more liberating. So I'm going to talk about the endothelial system. Understanding how the endothelial cells are the safeguard to our heart health. So give me a thumbs up, please, if you've heard of the endothelial cells or heard me talk about them before. I'm just curious because I love this topic, and this is what all scientists agree on. This is all science, so they all agree on this. So, is how the endothelial system works, and where heart disease and high blood pressure begin is in your nutrition. The endothelium is made up of a one cell layer that lines the inside of the blood vessels and arteries, okay? Just imagine like a thin layer of cells lining the inside of the blood vessels. This layer has a gel-like coating that allows blood to flow effortlessly and smoothly through our cardiovascular system. So high blood pressure's onset is when we start to repeatedly damage the lifeline of our blood vessels and our arteries, called the endothelium. The endothelium produces magic molecules of gas called nitric oxide. So what are the functions of nitric oxide? Nitric oxide keeps all our cells flowing smoothly like Teflon. It keeps things from getting sticky in our veins and our arteries, and it just allows that blood to flow smoothly. So you can imagine imagine a pipe, okay? This is another analogy. So a pipe, a metal pipe, and on the inside of the pipe, it's like super shiny, super polished. And when you put liquid in there, that liquid is just gonna slide on through, But then imagine pipes that are yucky and have stuff stuck on the walls. That water or that liquid is not gonna flow as smoothly, especially when it's gosh, okay. Okay, it just cut out for 1 second. I don't know why. All right, so continuing, I hope that you guys can hear me. Some glitch just happened, but I don't know what. So so this is also important. Nitric oxide is the strongest blood dilator in the body, okay? Nitric oxide is what prevents the artery walls from getting stiff, thickened, or inflamed. Anyway, so his teachings are amazing. Am I still freezing? Is it still freezing? I hope not. Okay, it shouldn't freeze. So, what's going on here? All right, so hopefully it won't freeze. I went off the Wi-Fi and onto my data on my phone. Okay, good. I think that helped. All right, so a safe and adequate amount of nitric oxide will protect you from ever developing blockages or plaque. Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn's quote. I also want to mention that it's, sometimes there is underlying genetic causes for high blood pressure, and those are things that you can be tested for if, you've been trying to lower blood pressure. But in most cases, this is, the first thing to look at, and it includes your diet. Okay, I hope you're back. So this whole thing is going to be posted again on my Facebook page if you want to go on the Blood Pressure Matters Facebook page, if you want to go back and watch it later as well. So moving on. What are the foods that reduce the capacity for your endothelial cells to make nitric oxide? So what is damaging these endothelial cells that produce nitric oxide? So these are foods that we eat in excess amounts since, we were kids, maybe since we were teenagers, and going on through life. Because number one is sugar. I put sugar as number one because we have a big sugar addiction in our society and the world following in our footsteps as well. So, sugar causes oxidative stress and is causing endothelial cells to be damaged and die, and malfunction. So number one is sugars. Anything, sugar and food, always look at added sugars. Added sugars are the culprit. Saturated fats. If you are suffering from high blood pressure, it's likely that over the years, saturated fat has damaged your endothelial cells. And I'm sorry to tell you, I am not vegan. I do eat meat occasionally, and all kinds of meat, but my main food is not meat. My main food is plants, because you'll see how healing they are. But you know, saturated fat in dairy products and meat cause endothelial cells to be damaged, and then they can't produce sufficient amounts of nitric oxide. And this is something that happens, okay, Odessa, this is something that happens over the years, okay? It doesn't just happen overnight. It's not like you eat meat one week and then the next week you're gonna, you know, have damaged endothelial cells. This is something that's been going on for decades, okay? And so years, decades, everyone is unique, everyone is different, but in most cases, this is how it is. So highly processed oils and highly processed salts. So these are the 4 things you need to write down and make sure, you know, cut these out for a while. Are you cutting out all of them? You know, play with it, see what works. So basically almost any food that's packaged or in a box or in a restaurant. It's amazing how much sugar restaurants put in their food too. Like, you wouldn't imagine, like, why would they put sugar, like spaghetti sauce, for example, that you buy at the store? Look at the amount of sugar in there. I think I'm going to post a picture in this group just to show you the amount of sugar in different, like, spaghetti sauces. Like, why do we need to put sugar in spaghetti sauce? It's so you love the taste, because we have sugar receptors in the brain, as I'll talk about, that, you know, want you to have more sugar. Okay, so after decades of eating the standard American diet, we have thrashed our endothelial cells and prevented them from producing adequate amounts of nitric oxide. And when the foods I mentioned above are eliminated, endothelial cells start to heal in most cases. And this is science, and if you could do your own research, which I encourage you to do anyways, but Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn had a 12-year study where he worked with heart patients, people who were going in for heart surgery, heart bypass, they had angina, and he was able to reverse their heart disease and then not need surgery and all that. And so these are the foods that he eliminated from his patients' diets. So, you know, you really want to kickstart your lowering blood pressure journey and you've had it for a long time, that's what I would do. So I'm just making a note here to post that picture because I don't want to forget. Moving on. So thankfully, the good news is there are foods that actually heal the endothelium as well. So these are foods that are rich in antioxidants. Antioxidants clean out damaging free radicals and allow the endothelial cells to heal. So add these foods to heal endothelial cells. Let me see, so I think you have the Core 4 plate, which I'll talk about more tomorrow, but you know, adding half your plate with these types of foods are going to help. So adding foods like spinach, kale, mainly the leafy greens, cauliflower, broccoli, beets, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, berries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, arugula. These are all foods high in antioxidants and are going to, the more of these you eat, the more you're going to be healing your endothelial cells, okay? And of course, you can't like also be eating junk food and then eat this stuff and expect your blood pressure to go down. You need to cut out all the processed foods in the beginning. You know, I'm all about, you know, balance and you know, not restricting yourself, but at the same time, you need to set that foundation in the beginning and get that blood pressure down. And here's a tip you can use that I give to my clients and help them to lower their blood pressure pretty quickly. And this works often. You can try this. I don't know if you're taking medication or not. It's going to be foods that I mentioned. Okay. So I would prefer if you do consult with a medical professional if you do this. But this is what I share with my clients. Oh, wow. Amazing, Suresh. Okay. So I'm going to come back to the comments. So here's my tip of the day. It's my food medicine. I like to call it my food medicine. It's after attending a medical seminar and something I picked up and I was like, I'm doing that. And I did that in the beginning of my lowering blood pressure journey, and it's pretty amazing the results I got. I do it from time to time now, but I don't need to because I figured out my body, and my body is always changing. So that's the thing, your body's always changing. So you kind of need to like be in tune with your body. So here is my food medicine that I learned at attending a seminar. So basically what it is, oh great, I hope my video is not frozen. So those foods that I mentioned, the spinach, the kale, the broccoli, the cauliflower, what I did in the beginning to kickstart my lowering blood pressure journey is I would have my food medicine every day, 6 times a day. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's up to you. You can try it or you don't have to, whatever you like. I would take a fistful of boiled spinach or kale or cauliflower or broccoli, any of the ones I mentioned, leafy greens, mustard greens, collard greens, bok choy, like all of these foods, right? So in the morning, like twice a week, I would get a big pot and I would boil or steam, a huge amount of broccoli. I do broccoli a lot because I feel like it has from my research, has the most health benefits, but any of these work. Kale works, spinach works, cauliflower works, beets are amazing. But sometimes beets have they're really high in sugar for some people, but I don't think that matters because you're eating the whole vegetable. Anyways, a whole pot that will last me about, 3 days, and I will boil the vegetable for 5 minutes, okay? 5 minutes, that's it. You want to get it soft enough where it's going to loosen the fibers and you're able to get the nutrients out of the vegetable. At the same time, not too soft where you're going to lose nutrients. So about 5 minutes, okay? And so you eat a fistful, so the size of your fist. I, prepare them in little bowls, even to go little Tupperwares. And then I would drizzle balsamic vinegar over them, as much, you can be generous with the amount. And then I would eat that as my food medicine. I would eat that in the morning. I would eat it with my breakfast. I would eat it as a snack. I would eat it with my lunch, as an afternoon snack, and with dinner. Anyway, 6 times a day, because your body is constantly getting those nitrates that are converted into nitric oxide from these foods and the antioxidants. Plus the acetate in the balsamic vinegar mixed with these vegetables and the nutrients and the antioxidants are like medicine to the inner lining of your blood vessels, the endothelial system. Okay, it's like healing them consistently throughout the day. That is something you can try. It's worked for so many people. And yeah, so people have thanked me for that advice. So you could go ahead and try that. I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, 6 times a day. But I mean, if you want to kickstart your lowering blood pressure journey, you could try that. If you want, you could just eat the Core 4 Whey, which I'll talk about tomorrow. Eating the Core 4 Whey, it's not just like a diet, it's like a lifestyle. And it's pretty amazing the way you feel after a couple weeks. It's pretty cool. So let's see. So now you have an idea of how high blood pressure develops in the first place and what foods you can start adding to your meals to help heal your endothelial cells. So I'm going to go through the questions, and if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask them now. And let's see here. I'm going to look here. Do you know the cause of your high blood pressure? So my high blood pressure, yeah. So I must say it's partially genetic because of my family history, my father, my grandfather. And so I have to work really hard at keeping my blood pressure, at a managed, healthy range, okay? So, I mean, just eating outside of the core 4 way for me will immediately trigger my blood pressure to go up. So I have made a commitment to my health and a system and a lifestyle where I am batching on the weekends. And yeah, I'll get to questions. So there's a lot of factors that go into my high blood pressure. I'm salt sensitive. Salt in food will just skyrocket, even just a little bit of salt like throughout the day. So everyone is different, and I do recognize that everyone's journey is different. So basically, I can't really get to know anyone's situation unless like I know their health history, their background. And I do know a few people did submit some health histories, and the main reason I did that was for you guys to, you know, get it out, write it down, type it, to see where you are at now. And that way you can use it as a comparison and be aware of what your goals are. And at the same time, I will get to looking at them. I have looked at a few of them. And I would need to get on a call with you to understand better how it would work. I can, you know, try to schedule calls next week where I can get more personal, but I just, like, it's just hard for me to fit them in. But I can try to find some time. So yeah, my son is 24 and they don't know why. Yeah, so most people don't know why. Most people just don't know why. I'd have to get on a health history call just to like get a better understanding of, you know, the background, the health history, everything, you know? So that was for Carol. Can you be tested for nitric oxide? So I believe there are some test strips that you put on your tongue, because the way that nitric oxide is produced in the body is through nitrates, through the food, like the ones that I mentioned. So nitric oxide, like that topic is just like, there's so much recent research. It's like so much recent research on nitric oxide. And the thing is, when nitric oxide is released from the endothelial cells, it's only a matter of like seconds. It's like there for like a millisecond. I don't know exactly. Don't take my word for it, but like less than a second or something, that it's in your bloodstream. It's in your bloodstream. And then all of a sudden, it disappears. It's just there for a few seconds. So there are ways, I believe, like there's test strips. I can send you a link to that. Test strips, like tongue test strips that can see how many nitrates or, so there's something. If you want me to do that, message me, Carol. Let me know if you want those, or anyone message me and let me know if you want to know more about that. But that's a whole other, yeah, it doesn't last long. Our endothelial cells produce them and boom, they're gone. Let's see. I did your 21-day core 4 and lost 2 kilograms. That's amazing. And Suresh, if you're still on, please let me know. How are you feeling after doing the core 4? Like, not only like you lost 2 kilograms, but at the same time, like, how do you feel energy-wise? How do you feel? Like, do you feel less inflammation in the body? I'd love to hear that. Is your blood pressure any better? Christine says, can hormonal changes as we are in our 50s be responsible? If so, what testing do you recommend, if any? What to do? Thank you. Yeah, so that's also another like something you can look into. So hormonal changes definitely do cause blood pressure to go up. I believe estrogen in the body goes down, and then that somehow translates into higher blood pressure numbers. Something with like cortisol getting higher in the body and estrogen getting lower in the body when you are, you know, getting older as a woman. So that is definitely something to look into with your doctor. Some people have done hormone replacement therapy. Some people have tried other more natural ways of doing it. But yeah, definitely could be I see many women over 50, you know, who are facing this challenge, and also anxiety kicking in after you're going through these life changes and everything, and that also causing blood pressure to go up. So it's all these things like the hormones that causing the anxiety, and all of them play a role, and then your blood pressure goes up. So that's where I'd have to know a little bit more about you, or you can talk to your doctor about it. So I hope that answers your question, Christine, because it definitely plays a role, I believe. When is your blood pressure the highest? I would say my blood pressure is the highest around maybe 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, between 2 and 4. That's me. Doing a lot of things throughout the day, naturally goes up. I mean, cortisol in the morning is released naturally, so your blood pressure does go up. Part of the circadian rhythm. So between I think around, it's different for everyone, but between 5 and 7 a.m. cortisol is usually the highest for most people. But mine gets high between 2 and 4, then starts to slowly taper off. Also part of the circadian rhythm. At night, your blood pressure is supposed to start to go down slowly. As it gets darker, our body senses the darkness and then starts to calm our body, or supposed to calm our body and get ready for the night. Let's see. Honestly, no, I'm not personally familiar with tyramine. I've heard of it, but I'm not that familiar with it. Let's see. Suresh says, I definitely felt less inflamed, and as the weeks went by, it became more comfortable and I was energized more for sure. Thank you for your feedback. But I do love my meat, so I'm back having meat, but I make sure that I add leafy greens and beans in every meal. Okay, that's good. If it's working for you, I hope your blood pressure was also went down with that. And everybody's different. You just have to, that's where the food journaling comes in, because you'll see what triggers your blood pressure to go up. And food journal, not only food, maybe, adding what stressors you had that day can also be indicators, of being your own investigator for yourself. How often do you monitor your blood pressure? That's a funny question, because people might think I don't mind taking my blood pressure. Even from the beginning, I would take it. I didn't really I just looked at it. So I take it almost every day, usually in the morning and night. And then I'd write down when I took it, and then I'll look at it over the month. That's too much for some people, which I totally get. It stresses them out. So you can do it every day, every other day, what you're most comfortable with. There are, people I work with who do it once a week, because that's what they're comfortable with, and it stresses them out. So when I just try to encourage people to take the mindset of you're your own investigator, and you are, you're your own advocate for your health. So you want to take your blood pressure just to get the data and to see what's working, what's not working. So it just depends on the person. Once a week is fine. Also, every other day works too. I hope that answers your question. So if there aren't any more questions, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow in day 2, where I will teach you a system, the Core 4 way of eating, as Suresh has done himself, I see. And I'll teach you how to use it in a way that to create a sustainable way of eating to lowering blood pressure. And also, I do talk about tips of, being balanced, not being too restrictive. But like I said, you want to kickstart your way to lowering blood pressure naturally. So you probably want to stick to it. Can you live with high blood pressure if all other aspects of health is normal? I guess so. My dad does. My dad is actually a retired general surgeon, which is funny because he lived with high blood pressure his whole life. do you have a book? Not yet. I really want to write a book. It's just the time. Just I do have a library of Facebook Lives in the Lowering Blood Pressure the Natural Way, with a lot of content there. But I haven't gotten down to writing a book, but it is on my to-do list. I need to get more on YouTube as well. It's just the time restriction and yeah, but I do have some YouTube stuff up, but nothing consistent yet. So my main platform is Facebook, and where I am active the most. Trying to get onto other platforms, but it does take a lot of time. So thank you, Christine, for your feedback. Thank you so much. And I appreciate all of you being here. And I'm so thankful and grateful for you guys, you know, being a part of this community and the Lowering Blood Pressure the Natural Way community. And I do look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 9 a.m. as well. Sure. So you're welcome. Yeah, go ahead and reach out to me if you want to schedule any calls. I'll see my availability and get back to you. And in the meantime, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.